Welcome to Damn Good Movie Memories with your host, Brian Davis. This podcast is the cure for your long commute and super boring workday. Hey there, it's Brian Davis, and for this week's episode, it's going to be a blast from the past, kind of what we used to do on Damn Good Movie Memories, where I just interview a number of guests on one episode, usually about a particular subject that I came up with, but in this case, we're all going to talk about one movie because it is a bona fide classic. Many people love this movie, so I came up with roughly 9 to 10 questions for my guests to answer, and so it's a lot of fun. So each person gives their different take on the questions I came up with. I kind of previewed this on the episode before when we just covered The Wizard of Oz and all the fun facts, so that will be a lot of fun. And I do have a correction to be made for the first episode that came out last week for episode 300. A listener on YouTube had mentioned that I had inadvertently said that Judy Garland had been with MGM for almost a decade, prior to signing on to The Wizard of Oz. That isn't true. What is actually true, and I confirmed it, is in 1935, at the age of 13, she signed with MGM. Louis B. Mayer signed her, so it wasn't a decade. So I don't know where I got that from. It might have been, when I'm watching the bonus features, someone inadvertently said that, and I passed it along, and it's incorrect. So I thank you to the listener who mentioned that, and that just means people are engaged and listening, and I appreciate that. I try to get as much of this as correct as possible in doing research, so it's not like I'm trying to pass along false information. Sometimes those inconsistencies happen, so I'm happy to correct that. So it wasn't a decade, it was about 3 or 4 years. So there you go. All right, so let's get into this episode. This is a lot of fun. Next week, I'll go back to a single episode where we do it like we normally do. But for some of these major films that are just iconic, and I consider The Wizard of Oz one of those, I'm going to have a number of guests on to discuss instead of going through the plot again, which is, what we did last week. We just did fun facts and then a radio adaptation, which was fun. So this week, we're going to do all of the interviews. So enjoy, and I'll be back next week. Well, one of our favorite guests is back. It's been too long now. She was on the very first episode, and without her, there would be no me. So this is only natural that you should start off the Wizard of Oz interview episode. So welcome back to my mom.
Thank you.
So for this, on the very first episode, you said that was the first movie you ever saw, and my guess is it's probably the most of any movie you've watched over your lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because at the time, you said over 400 times.
At least, because, like I said on the other podcast, it became so popular that on Thanksgiving, they would show it every Thanksgiving. So naturally, we'd watch it.
And it's like it was like the Super Bowl back then, before the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Like people would watch it, they'd make a date of it.
Right.
All right, so let's get into the questions I'm going to ask all the guests. What is your favorite character?
Well, the Wicked Witch. The Wicked Witch of the West. And just because I like characters, and when I used to, in high school, do drama, I always liked to do the unusual character, never the heroine. It was always the psycho lady, the old lady, and the Wicked Witch. In fact, the kids there, I can remember them always referring to me as the Wicked Witch of the West. I don't know if that was such good, but anyway, that was fun.
Yeah, because you think everyone goes for Dorothy, they go for the Good Witch. Yeah. All right, what favorite song?
Over the Rainbow.
That's your favorite.
Yeah.
And then your least favorite song?
Well, I watched it the other day, and I was listening to all the songs, and it really, most of them were good because they all had this little catch to it, and you'd start singing along. I mean, I was singing along. So there really wasn't one that I didn't like, or I thought they were all good, but Over the Rainbow was the best.
And ironically, that's the one they wanted to pull.
To cut.
Yeah,
yes.
Because they thought it slowed down the film. They wanted to get to Oz. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Your favorite scene?
Favorite scene was when the house landed. Mm-hmm. It was in black and white.
Right.
And then when she opens the door and walks out, it was just, I like everything magical anyway. fairies and things like that. And so fantasy. So this was it was so beautiful. And then this was the first like Technicolor. I really liked that.
Yeah.
I thought Munchkin Land was great.
Did you ever read the book or the books?
I think I did in like grammar school, a couple of them, but I don't remember them that well.
You never want to go back and read?
No, and they were really different because there were series of them.
Right.
And I did buy a book for your nephew and my grandson, which is really neat. It's a pop-up book of The Wizard of Oz. And it has the story.
Right.
And but it was kind of neat. But no, I haven't read any of them.
Mm-hmm. Did you like any of the remakes, the revisions, any of those films that came after The Wizard?
They were okay. The Wiz. After I watched that a couple of times, I enjoyed it more because I like I like musicals.
Yeah.
So that was good.
And it wasn't a straight up copy.
Right.
Yeah.
And Wicked. Actually went and saw the play in San Francisco, and I really enjoyed that because it kind of explained the
your favorite
Wicked
character,
Witch, the why she got the way she was.
Right.
So, yeah.
Was there a scene or a character you would have changed?
No, not really. I thought it all kind of.
So it's like the music. Everything flowed.
And everyone played their character well. So
the two fun questions I have at the end, this is for you to speculate if you were going to write the story or explain the backstory. What do you think actually happened to Dorothy's parents? Because she lived with her aunt and uncle. What's your theory?
I just assumed they died. They probably were in a car accident that's usual thing that
had the flu.
Yeah, because this was way back when they were living kind of in a rural area.
More orphans back then?
Or there was bad tornado and they died in a tornado.
There you go. And speaking of the tornado, the last question I have for you is, what do you think happened to Miss Gulch / the Wicked Witch after the tornado? What do you think? Because you don't see her at the end.
Right. I think she became the Wicked Witch.
well, I understand, but so you think she just stayed in Oz forever? She really didn't melt?
No. I think, I really didn't think about it, of what happened. She probably survived and is probably upset because Toto disappeared.
That's right.
I could see her being angry and then coming back.
So does Wicked even answer that about what happened after the tornado?
No.
See, that's sequel.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for doing this. Good way to start the episode.
Thank you, Bri.
Okay, we are back with somebody I know, probably more than my mom, that loves The Wizard of Oz. I think it's Stephanie's the top of the rung. Of course, I talked to my mom first because she's blood, but for work blood, it's got to be Stephanie. And welcome back to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Because we know that your all-time favorite movie is Wizard of Oz. You quote it. We're in meetings. It'll come up. It is part of. It's probably the first American fairy tale, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Oh my gosh, that's a perfect way to say it. It's spot on.
It is. Okay, so we're just going to go through these questions I've been asking everyone, and so I'm curious about how you're going to answer these. Who is your favorite character? It might be obvious, but who's your favorite character?
Oh gosh. So for me, it's always, from when I was very little, it was always the Scarecrow. Yeah, I love the Scarecrow. There's something so, so genuine, and he cared so much. And Ray Bolger, oh my gosh, that he just did a phenomenal job there. And yeah, there's just something about the Scarecrow. He just felt like such a safe place to be, because it really was very, very scary for Dorothy. And the Scarecrow was the safe place to land. Like once she gets to the Scarecrow, it's like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, and I mentioned that he was important because you had to get those characters right in the beginning. Because if he fails, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with the Tin Man and the Lion? So he was very important, definitely.
Yeah.
What is your favorite song?
Oh my gosh, what is my favorite song? Well, the one I sing the most is, it really was no miracle. What happened was just this. The wind began to switch, the house to pitch. I know that whole song by heart. I sing it with my kids. I just love, I love the rhymes and the rhythm of it. I mean, I suppose the real answer should be somewhere over the rainbow, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's that. And I love the Lions song too. I really love the Lion song. I love them all. But yeah, I have to say the song that I sing the most is definitely. Yeah.
So part of the medley when she first arrives.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, what's your least favorite song if you have one?
Oh my gosh, what's my least favorite song? Oh, that one with the Can you match my eyes to match my gown? Jolly old dip dip dum, dip dip dan, a couple of tra-la-las. That's right. Sorry, I don't know the names of the songs. That's how we the day away and the merry old land. It's not terrible, but whatever.
Yeah, no. Hey, you got to pick one. What is your favorite scene?
Oh, what is my favorite scene? Oh my gosh. There's a few. I think definitely, I know this is such a cliche, but when the good fairy when the good witch tells Dorothy that she had the power all along, so just like Oprah Winfrey, that was a massive moment for me, when the power was inside of her all along, but she had to learn it first, right? So as a kid, that was really, really transformative because, I grew up very poor and lots of sort of, trauma surrounding me, and just this idea that like all the answers were inside of me. I just I had to go on my own hero's journey, and that's before I even knew what a hero's journey was. But I understood enough to know that I needed to, I had to find my metaphorical sort of yellow brick road. Right. So I love that scene. I love the scene where she says goodbye to the scarecrow and she hugs him and she whispers in his ear, I think I'm going to miss you most of all. Yeah. And I love the part where, the scarecrow's on his knees and he goes, well, I'd face a whole box of them, to get a chance at a brain, with the matches and just like that. Like, I know exactly how that feels, like where you would just risk it all for something that like you want, and that's attainable. Yeah, I think those three things. Like those are my favorite scenes.
That's awesome. I'm glad you picked those. Did you ever read the original book, or did you read any of the subsequent sequels that came after the original?
No, I didn't. I've seen every movie, and of course, I absolutely love and worship Wicked. So I read Wicked and I've seen the musical 100 times. I love Wicked as an interpretation of the Wicked Witch. That's amazing. Because, I saw Wizard of Oz at least 100 times because it was like the new VCR was brand new.
Yes. My
grandfather got a VCR and he recorded it because, Wizard of Oz always aired every Thanksgiving. And he recorded it for me. And every single weekend we would go to visit my grandparents and I would put the tape in and I would watch it.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again. It was just it was a mantra for me. It was just this healing space that just made me, it was my church. Like it just made me feel like everything was going to be okay. Like that was the path forward. Yeah.
Well, pre-internet and pre-cable, that was like the Super Bowl, the Wizard of Oz playing during the holidays. You waited all year to watch it because, again, it was pre-VCR, pre-everything. So people don't realize how good they have it now where you can watch anything at any time. So
no idea. And it's funny, I remember like when I would go to sleep at night when I'd be afraid of the dark because I was so scared of the dark. Instead of counting sheep, I would run the movie in my mind, from the very beginning, like, did she bite you? Or no, did she hurt you, Toto? Oh, she tried. I had all the words memorized. Like I could get through almost to the tornado scene. I knew like all the words. And like by the tornado scene, I would be asleep.
That's great.
It was that powerful for me. And then when they did the re-edit, remember some years later, they do an edit where they add in some deleted scenes. It really bothered me.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same.
I didn't think it added to it. I mean, it was cool to sort of see more of, the wizard when he's in Kansas. And so it was cool to see some of the background stuff, but it didn't add to it. And it messed up like the flow in my mind of the movie. Yeah.
Okay, so you kind of referenced the Wicked. Did you like any of the other remakes? So like, The Wiz or Return to Oz, or but Wicked's definitely your favorite.
Yeah, I loved The Wiz. I played Eva Meany in my high school musical. It was my first big role. I was Eva Meany. I absolutely loved The Wiz. I love the music in The Wiz.
Yeah.
You know, Dorothy's home. I wanted to be Dorothy so bad, but I could never hit that high note. Never in a million years. But yeah, I could do Eva Meany, you know?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I wake up already nicotine, and I could do like the whole.
I love it. I knew I'd get something out of you. So, is there any scene or character you would have changed?
Oh my gosh, Brian, that's such a great question. Is there any scene or character I would have changed? That's
You don't have to. I mean, if there's nothing, you think it's a perfect movie, which a lot of people say this is a kind of a flawless film.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, nothing comes to mind for me. There was no character that I didn't like. There was no scene that I would fast forward through. It's really rare for me. Like movies that I watch now that I used to love as a kid, I find that I fast forward parts, you know, because they're just not relevant to my life. I don't watch, there's a lot of films I just don't watch all the way through anymore. You know, I search for the parts that have meaning for me, and then I shut them off. And for film lovers, I don't know, maybe that's sacrilege. So I apologize for those of you that, you know, the art form is sacred.
It's like skipping a song on an album. I kind of get it. So yeah.
Right. But with Wizard of Oz, I watch it from beginning to end. There isn't an extraneous scene for me. Yeah.
Okay, that's totally fair. All right, so this is the hippie in me because this is infamous. Did you ever put Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon to the film?
No.
You never like synced it up and tried to find out the little.
I was such a square. Like I never like explored anything when I was a kid. I didn't like Pink Floyd, and I didn't get it. And I felt like I wasn't in on the joke. It made me feel really lame. And I love I love Wizard of Oz so much that it bugged me.
Okay. So, you didn't do enough drugs, but you know.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think? This is all just your opinion and conjecture. What do you think happened to Dorothy's parents? Because it's never really explained. She just lives with her aunt and uncle. What do you think happened? Was it something simple like they died and that's who she lived with, or do you think there was a different backstory there?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I always, because I'm very woo woo, and I always feel like things are connected. So yeah, I always imagine that Dorothy's parents have some sort of connection to Oz, and that's why Dorothy has the same connection. And maybe that's something that the Wizard of Oz could have layered in. I wonder, like something about like her heritage or where she came from, you know, similar to sort of what the Alice in Wonderland movies imply later on. That's sort of really interesting because then the origin story seems really, really compelling, because I can imagine, you know, orphans, people who don't have parents or don't know where they come from, watching The Wizard of Oz. I think it would be really compelling to have like this super cool origin story that you came from another world or another land.
That's right.
Yeah, that would have been really cool.
See, I knew I asked the right person. And then I'm going to wrap it up with this because I never thought about it until my most recent viewing, but it dawned on me. Do you think Miss Gulch, who is, of course, the Wicked Witch, did you get killed in the tornado?
Oh, Elvira Gulch? No way.
Okay, so what happened to her?
You know she survived. You can't kill that woman.
Okay, because everyone else shows up at the very end, you know, including the fortune teller, you know, but nowhere. They don't even mention her.
Well, I wonder, you know, like funny. There's a part of me now that I'm older, you know, where I feel like everybody is redeemable, and because Wicked has had such a profound effect on my thinking, you know, I wonder if the tornado, you know, didn't have this like sort of, you know, she had her sort of dark moment of the soul, you know, and she survives and she decides to, you know, the error of her ways, you know, and then she, you know, is compassionate and decides to be nicer. And
well, at an early age, I learned anyone that mistreats animals or doesn't like animals, they have to be wicked. And so it all started with the Wicked Witch, because how could you be mean to Toto? It's the greatest dog in the world. So my theory is that yes, she did die, and they used the remains of her house to build Toto a nice doghouse. So that's how I view it. But I'm also male, and I'm also probably more evil than Stephanie. But yes, that's me. So.
I like that a lot.
We all have our own little paths we go. As always, thank you so much, Stephanie, and thank you for doing this.
No, thank you so much. I love The Wizard of Oz. Anybody who's listening, please go watch it again. There's so much to learn from it. It's
and every viewing is great. It's to me, I never get sick of it. It really is almost a perfect movie.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Brian, so much.
Okay, so never mind the man behind the curtain. In this case, two men behind the curtain, the dynamic duo of Metal Mike Tyler and Bill Roseberry. Thanks again for joining me, guys.
Our pleasure.
Thanks for having us, buddy.
So this one's a little different. I have set stock questions because this movie is such a classic. I'm not going through the whole typical review, but I'm going to get everyone's opinion on this because everyone, I think, has seen at least The Wizard of Oz once. It is an all-time classic. Some feel it's like a perfect movie, and especially for the time, it kind of is in many ways. So first, we'll start with Mike. Who is your favorite character in The Wizard of Oz?
Probably the Scarecrow. But I mean, again, it's like I love them all. I even love Toto, her little barking ass.
Sure.
So, no, I would have to say the Scarecrow because, but I mean, all of them really because what's funny about that and the whole journey of that film is they possess the qualities that they didn't think they had.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's so awesome about that film. But yeah, I don't know, the Scarecrow, Ray Bolger and the way he was his dancing routines and the way he moved, and he really inhabited that character in my opinion. So I would have to say the Scarecrow.
Great. Bill, how about your favorite character?
Man, I was trying to think of this while you were asking him. I mean, I was kind of torn between the Lion and the Scarecrow. I'll go the Lion.
Who's hilarious.
Yeah, he is. I mean, he is, and I think that's the biggest reason why I like the Lion. He's so funny, but he tries to come across as a bully and he's tough, and he's got this kind of persona that he feels like he has to live up to because he's a lion, he's the king of the jungle, and then he ends up being kind of this, well, he's the cowardly lion. I mean, and I just loved the way he carried himself, and the way he talked. And when I was a kid, I actually haven't seen The Wizard of Oz since I was a kid. But I used to watch it every year. I mean, sure. And I mean, he was just always my favorite, just the outfit and the way he carried himself, the way he talked and everything. I just always thought the Lion was the coolest.
And that's and you bring up a good point about the Lion. It's most bullies are usually afraid themselves. And that's why the story is so great is it seems so simple, but that's the beauty of it. Like a lot of this stuff is just so fitting to life. Okay, so we'll go to Bill on this one. Your favorite song?
I'd have to say it's got to be with the Lollipop Guild, or the Wicked Witch is Dead. Okay. Yeah. I mean, because the Lollipop Guild ruled. I mean, when they pop out and they, that's my favorite.
Okay.
That's a good one, bro.
How about you, Mike?
I'm going to go with the safe answer, but I can't help it. Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I think Judy Garland's performance is just flawless. And there's just something about the lyrics of that the words or the lyrics of that song that just speak to just everybody, I think, that sometimes you're like, man, life kind of sucks and it's, big drag, but somewhere one day I'll get there, and that's what I like about that song. So, yeah. But, I mean, there's a lot of great tunes. Like, in that. And I even like the ones with the monkeys. Well,
that's what I was going to say. As a Metallica fan.
Right, yeah, that is. That's why I loved Dyer's Eve.
Yep.
Growing up, because that's what it reminded me of when I heard that. Yeah, Dyer's Eve was one of my favorite Metallica songs because of that. Yeah.
Yep. So, Mike, what is your all-time favorite scene in the film?
I would have to say at least one of them is, like I said earlier, I like the way the characters, and they don't know it, but like when the Wicked Witch has Dorothy and she's trapped and her comrades, Scarecrow, Tin Man, Cowardly Lion are trying, and it's the Scarecrow who figures out how to get her out, even though he has no brains. He's the guy who, and again, Cowardly Lion's scared, but he faces his fears to save Dorothy because they love her. so much. I don't know, man. I just think it's kind of a poignant part of the film, man.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Bill?
When Oz comes out and you realize, what he really is, and I think that was you see behind the curtain and you realize, perception isn't always reality, because they're all worried about how they look in other people's eyes. I think, like the lion, especially, and then here comes Oz out, and he's this little guy, kind of stuttering over himself, and he wasn't this big all-knowing being. I thought that was a telling part, and that was always my favorite part because it surprised me as a kid. I wasn't expecting that.
Did you guys, Bill, first, did you ever read the book, the original book? And there was, a lot of sequels as well. Did you ever read the original book?
No, I did not. And I've never seen any of the sequel. I never even saw The Wiz with Michael Jackson.
That was one of my questions. So there you go.
I've never gone to see the musical or any of it. I've just seen the movie. I mean, and I watched it every year when I was a kid. It's not a movie I own, but I saw it so much when I was a kid, year in, year out. Yeah.
Right. And that's why we were doing it because I think everyone it's just part of your DNA. It's probably the first American classic, I think, in many ways. Mike, how about you? Did you ever read the book and did you ever see any of the remakes?
I have a vague recollection. My mom loved those books. She had them all. And when I was little and I remember I was sick with a fever, I have a vague recollection of her reading me The Wizard of Oz. That's about as far as it went. Like they go like there's literally a book that features the Scarecrow called The Scarecrow of Oz, which is all about him. And they do it with the lion. They do it with all the characters. But yeah, I mean, Frank L. Baum, he had a hugely successful career. Kind of like, I guess, Edgar Rice Burroughs with the Tarzan novels, man. He just kept cranking them out,
Sure. Yeah, way before Harry Potter, there was Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. What was the other question, though?
Did you ever see the movie remakes like The Wiz or the Return to Oz,
I did see The
things
Wiz
like
when
that?
I was a kid, and I liked it, but it's interesting because you got like Richard Pryor's The Wizard. I thought that was a cool touch, and
Diana Ross.
Michael Jackson, I believe, is the Scarecrow, right?
Yep, exactly.
So anyway, it's just one of those things where I did see Return to Oz when I was a kid, but she's in The Water Boy. She's a little yeah. She's just a kid, and I don't know, man. It's been so long since I seen it. It didn't make much of an impression to me. It was like with The Wizard of Oz on acid.
Yep.
I didn't quite get it, But like I said, that would be a film I'd almost have to rewatch now just to give you a fair assessment of it, though.
I was just going to say, as we're talking about this, I do remember I did see the one with James Franco.
Is that any good? I've never seen it.
It didn't leave much of an impression on me. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I'd totally forgotten that I'd seen it until then, but he plays Oz, I believe. So
it's like a prequel, right?
Yes, yeah, and how he got there. The original movie was it for me, I mean, that was the one that I always went to as a kid, and but I did see the one with James Franco. Like I said, it's like what you were talking about with the Return to Oz or whatever. I didn't even know anything about that. It just didn't have a big impression on me, but I did see it.
Well, I was gonna. So Mike brought up drugs. This is perfect. Did you ever put Dark Side of the Moon and sync it up with the Wizard of Oz? There's a lot of people would do this, and they say that there's similarities. Did you ever do that, Bill?
No, I did not. I had never even heard that was a thing.
Okay, how about you, Mike?
I tried it, but I didn't. I think they were on drugs when they did it. Quite honestly, I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. It's like, okay, this cool visual film with Dark Side of the Moon.
Right.
It didn't like, oh my God, it fits. No, I think whoever came up with that was probably tripping balls, to be quite honest with you, when they did it. And it just kind of became one of them urban legends or myths. Yeah, exactly. I'm calling bullshit, man.
Okay. Was there a scene or a character you would change? And we'll start with Mike.
No, man. I mean, we were talking about perfect movies. It's a perfect film. I mean, In my opinion, yeah. Bill, what do you think, man?
Yeah.
I'd agree. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could have got a cooler dog. But,
I love the dog. That's one of my favorite dogs.
No, I'm kidding. No, there wasn't anything that they could have changed. Would never even thought about when you said that. I was like, oh my God, no, there's nothing I would change with that.
Okay, that's fair. So I'm going to wrap it up with this one, and I've always wondered this, and I'd love to get your guys' take on this. We'll start with Mike on this one because I think he's going to give an interesting answer. Do you think that Miss Gulch, who of course was the Wicked Witch, did she get killed in the tornado at the end?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, that would be that. You know what? I hope because she's a horrible person. They
never mention it. You just don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know, man. You see her flying, and of course that could be Dorothy's dream.
Exactly.
And I've met people in real life that when you see them, you hear that in your head. I've met a few people who obviously developed their personality in a car crash.
Yep.
Or maybe a tornado. I don't know, but yeah, definitely. I'm hoping. I usually don't wish death on people, even fictional characters. But yeah, man, she's got to go.
Absolutely. Okay, Bill.
Is that interesting enough for you?
I think it is. I think. Well, again, we always mention this. It doesn't work unless you have a great villain. And can you think of a better villain than the Wicked Witch? I mean, she is the epitome of all villains.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah, she's evil.
Yeah. So how about you, Bill? Did she get killed or did she just her house disappeared, so that's why she's not in the last scene?
I don't know. I guess it's left up to interpretation,
sure.
Obviously. But like I'm with Mike. I hope so.
Exactly.
I totally agree with him. She was an awful person, and she needed to go. So I hope she was gone too. I mean, there was the only cool thing about her was she had flying monkeys.
Yeah,
sure. Underrated
that's
character.
Pretty badass.
Those are
I
amazing.
wish I had flying monkeys.
Absolutely. And the special effects, if you go back and watch for the flying monkeys, are terrific. Because this is 1938 when they filmed it. It looks legit. So
the flying monkeys in the Wizard of Oz are better than Pegasus in Clash of the Titans.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And with that,
Ray Harryhausen. Did he do the special effects for Clash of Titans?
I think he did.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. And so I don't think anyone's going to bring up Clash of the Titans in this episode, though. We're going to leave it at that. That was perfect. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, man.
Okay, we're back with Samantha. Welcome back, Samantha.
Hello.
So we're going to go through all the standard Wizard of Oz questions I've been asking everyone. And so the first one I'm going to ask you is, who is your favorite character?
I mostly watched this movie when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
And is it dumb if I say it was probably Dorothy?
No, not at all. If that's your favorite, that's your favorite.
The star, and as a little girl, her little journey seemed pretty fun, even though it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked her, and the witches were both cool as well. So definitely the ladies of the movie.
Of the traveling companions. So the Scarecrow, Tin Man, Cowardly Lion. Who did you like the best of those three?
Oh, the Cowardly Lion. He's so funny.
He is. Yeah, they're all perfect.
Little face.
Yes. Okay, so you did a quick run through because there's so many songs. What's your favorite song from the movie?
I always loved the whole Munchkin Land theme.
Medley. Mm-hmm.
Right when she lands, and Ding Dong the Witch is Dead. Yeah, Over the Rainbow is beautiful and whatnot, but I like the more surreal points of the movie. So I think Ding Dong the Witch is Dead. The kids singing their little lollipop whatever song, we are the Lollipop Kids.
Yep.
Or whatever, so I think those were definitely my favorite.
Did you have a least favorite song?
I don't think so. Nothing really comes to mind. No, I can't. I don't think so. Maybe they all fit. The end.
Okay. Okay. So, what is your favorite scene in the film?
My favorite scene. Can I tell you my least favorite scene?
Absolutely.
Because it was a running joke in my family that I did not watch this movie for years as a child because I was so terrified of the flying monkeys. We tried watching it, I guess, when I was tiny, and I basically had a fit.
Oh no.
And I was like, I'm never watching that again. And like we always joked, I was too scared. So the scene when they first come down through the forest, like just no thank you. And their whole existence I did not enjoy, and they still gross me out. So definitely I have a least favorite.
But the special effects for back then were great because they really did look like they were flying in.
Ugh, gross. Gross. I think I'm slightly traumatized.
Well, this is why we bring all this stuff up. We have to talk about this. This is better than therapy, so this is good. So no favorite scenes.
Favorites, I think, well, I don't know, like it had its ups and downs. Like this movie, seriously, it did scare me as a child, so maybe that's why a lot of the things are negative. But yeah, going through the forest was scary, and then there's the corn maze sequence, and then even when she gets to visit Oz, like his whole setup was like really dark and scary. So I think like my favorite parts were definitely the beginning when she lands and everyone is so nice and fun and they're singing, and Gilda, is that how you say her?
Yeah, Glinda.
Gilda,
Glinda, the Good Witch.
I'm thinking of Glinda the Good Witch. Oh, geez. She was wonderful. And so that whole portion, I guess the beginning of the journey, I would say, is tops. And I haven't watched this movie in a few years, but it's like kind of everything scary is ingrained in my mind.
I'm glad you brought this up
Growing up.
Especially back in 1939, they cut back a lot of the Wicked Witch scenes with Margaret Hamilton because they were afraid the little kids, it would be too heavy for them. Like it'd just be too much, especially back then. So that's interesting because you're a modern viewer, even though you're a kid. So
yeah. Oh, and she was scary too. Like her little feet hanging out of the house are funny. But,
her sister.
Yeah, the sister. But yeah, when she shows up off and on, this shouldn't be pitched as a cutesy kids movie. I think kids should be older when they see it. And it's more of like it's a weird, trippy, surreal, like dream like sequence.
So did you ever see Willy Wonka or the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory as a kid? Because that's just as creepy for kids.
Yeah, for some reason I didn't find that one as horrible. I think
interesting.
Maybe it's the 1930s, the costumes, and as you said, the production. But there's just something creepy about it. I liked Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I wanted to go there, so I'd rather go there than Oz.
Well, that I think I'm going to add that as a question. That'll be a good one. So, did you ever read the original book or any of the sequels?
I don't think I read. I really don't think I read the actual version of the book. I might have, read like a kid version. But I do have a very fun real life anecdote I can share.
Sure.
That might give away my identity. But when I was in the 6th grade, my elementary school did a 70s themed version of The Wizard of Oz. It was a musical. And instead of the music from this movie, it was all 70s disco music. And I played the lead in the play.
Wow.
And that is all I will say.
So that's why you like Dorothy so much.
I guess so.
That's great. I never knew you were into theater.
Oh, I didn't either. It was a fluke moment.
Well, then you should see The Wiz then with Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and because it's a pure, straight up modern musical, and it was
yeah. And this one, I think maybe I was also just traumatized from this play, but I almost remember the music from that 6th grade play more than the original.
I actually wonder if it was based on The Wiz, because The Wiz it was 1978, and I'm sure it was more kind of discoized at the time. So maybe
it could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I had to learn how to do the hustle dance.
I guarantee you this was based on The Wiz. That's so funny.
Maybe we didn't call it The Wiz, probably for copyright reasons.
Because Richard Pryor plays the Wizard of Oz. So
okay,
yeah, you should definitely check it out.
I can't believe I've never seen it. Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of music, so this is not my era, but this is type of music I like. Did you ever play Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon in conjunction with the film? Did you ever sync it up? That was a thing.
No, I didn't even know.
Okay.
That was. So now I'm tempted.
Okay.
I'm forward one day.
So it's never explained in the film what happened to Dorothy's parents. She just lives with her aunt and uncle. What do you think happened?
I never put much thought into it.
Okay.
I think I always assumed she was an orphan or
I see.
Something tragic. No, when was this made? In
1938.
39.
Came out in 39, yep.
It was written, turn of the century.
Right.
So maybe they died in a farm accident or
a tornado.
Another tornado or maybe her some crazy story. But yeah, I always just thought like it was just her and her life. So everything else really isn't too relevant.
So I'm going to give you another one. This is to end it. And do you think Miss Gulch, the Wicked Witch, got killed in the tornado?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
It seems like everyone else made it out. And like it could be that Dorothy's dream was some sort of like stream of conscious like implication, but she wouldn't have known that she would have died. So I'm going to say that she is doing just fine.
Okay.
Maybe she's in the hospital or something.
And she'll leave Toto alone.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. Thank you so much for your time, Samantha.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, we're back with my other brother, Brian. Welcome back, Brian.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right. So this one, I'm going back old school to the original kind of damn good movie memories where I interview just everyone I can for a specific episode. And the reason I'm doing it is because with Wizard of Oz, I think everyone's seen Wizard of Oz. I don't need to go through the plot recap or anything like that. I'm just doing the history and the fun facts and then talking to some of my favorite people. And so I have this standard questionnaire that I've been asking everyone. So I'm going to run through it with you.
Sounds good. So
number one, what is your favorite character?
I think Scarecrow is my favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool that he's dumb, but he knows he's doing dumb, but he wants to get a brain and so make himself better. So that's great.
So how dumb could he really be, right?
Yeah, I don't know. He had something in there. He had a good spirit, I guess.
You know what's funny is like everyone I've talked to so far, that's been their favorite, like the Scarecrow, and I didn't realize
so lovable. I think maybe it's I don't know. Maybe it's when you're a kid, like you want to like just hang out with Scarecrow. He's the first, he's one of the first characters Dorothy meets, on her journey.
Exactly.
And, so yeah.
And Ray Bolger's so good as kind of he's like the rubber man, So.
Yeah, he's great.
Okay, so what is your favorite song?
Well, not surprisingly, it's If I Only Had a Brain.
That makes total sense. So what's your least favorite song?
My least favorite? I don't know if I have like a horrible. I mean, if you even count it as a song, but I don't like the Lollipop Guild like thing. I'm not really into the Munchkins that much, so I don't like their little like intro, if it's even a song.
Yeah, it's like this long medley, but I guess technically each one is an actual song.
Yeah, I'm not into that part, so I'd say that's my least favorite. But the rest of the songs are fine; they're pretty good.
What is your favorite scene?
I haven't seen it in a really long time. So
okay,
I watched it a few times as a kid, and then honestly, I got scared by the Wicked Witch. Like I used to get nightmares of of the witch. So
Yeah.
I didn't really like. It wasn't a movie I wanted to revisit much. And then like I haven't yet. I don't think my son's quite. He's probably quite old enough right now to watch it. He's 6, but
okay.
So maybe I'll watch it again with him, and we'll find out. I'm not sure like what my favorite scene was at the time. I probably just liked when she got back home. Maybe just like relieved as being a kid. Like, oh yeah, she made it back home after all that.
Right.
I'm not sure. That would be one, or just seeing the witch melt.
Oh yeah.
At the end, I don't know.
What's funny, and multiple people have mentioned how they've been scared at various parts in The Wizard of Oz, because this really was marketed as a kids movie. So I think they even toned it down at the time because it was frightening.
The flying monkeys are pretty darn scary too.
They are, and those special effects are pretty good for that era. So.
For that era, yeah, totally.
Did you ever read the original novel, and did you read any of the subsequent sequels?
No, I haven't read any of it. Let's see. I think I took the book out of the library, and then I ended up not reading it or something. Okay. Because I was just like, I don't know. I'd seen the movie, and it's like, I don't know, what's the point? But I know there was like, there's a lot more to the Oz story that L. Frank Baum wrote.
Right.
So, but I never read any of those. So.
And it really kind of was the Harry Potter of its era. I mean, because every year there'd be another book and another volume.
Yeah, were they published in magazines? Was it that kind of deal, or he just like wrote books and published?
No,
books?
it was interesting because he was kind of a failed businessman. He couldn't do anything right at the time, but he was always very creative, and so he would tell all these stories to his kids and their friends, and so he kind of used them as his almost sounding board to find out what works and what doesn't, and then ended up writing a story out of it. Yeah, and it's kind of an overnight sensation book-wise.
Like, so flying monkeys scary. Got it. Okay, I'm putting that in. All right.
This works.
Yeah.
Did you like any of the film remake?
So let's see. I don't know if I've seen any like a straight up remake. I mean, I've seen The Wiz with Michael Jackson. You want to count that one? Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think I like that. I mean, I like Michael Jackson was great at that time. It was fun to watch him sing and dance, and Diana Ross too. Yeah, I think I liked that as a kid, and then it's kind of more of a spin-off than a remake. But I remember seeing Oz the Great and Powerful, the James Franco one.
Oh yeah,
The Wizard of Oz. I thought, that movie got bad reviews, and a lot of it was kind of, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but I thought it was better than like what the critics said it was. It was like something that I went into having low expectations, and it was marginally better than that. So it's like, okay, this is pretty good. It was kind of the origin story of both the wizard and as well as like the 2 wicked witches. So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, different take on it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it was ever released as a film, but did you ever see the musical Wicked?
I did not see it. No. I know a lot of people love it and everything, but I wasn't. I don't know. I just wasn't interested in it.
Okay.
At the time. So yeah.
So I think you kind of answered this question, but I'll throw it out there anyway. Was there a scene or character you would change? So I'm guessing the Munchkins.
Yeah, probably less. I would make the Munchkins less. I don't know. They're just kind of weird. I think they're very outdated. Maybe you wouldn't see that kind of thing now.
Probably not.
I don't know. My younger self would have said have less witch in the movie,
right?
Less wicked witch.
Which is so funny now because I that's my favorite character because I think she's so good. I mean, you think if you ask her, like what do you vision a witch as? You think Margaret Hamilton?
Yeah, she is. Oh yeah, for sure. She was great.
Did you ever play Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd? Did you ever sync it up to the film?
I'm trying to remember if I did. So like I wasn't really into Pink Floyd until like after college. I started listening to some of their stuff, and then I heard about the whole Dark Side of the Moon thing. Right. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I'm trying to remember if I tried playing it or if I just maybe watched something on YouTube maybe that had like, part of it and then showed the sync of like, oh, I kind of get what it's doing here. I saw something. I don't remember if I actually tried playing it to the movie though. But yeah, it was interesting, and I like that album, but I don't necessarily know that it's like. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense as like this soundtrack to the.
No,
it happens to sync up, maybe, but I don't know.
Yeah, Pink Floyd has said it's complete garbage. Like that's not true, but
okay, that makes sense because
people did a lot of drugs back then, so they had a lot of time.
Basically.
And then last, that I just thought of this, doing this, watching it recently, because I never even thought about it until recently, is, do you think that Miss Gulch, who of course was the Wicked Witch in Oz, did you think she got killed in the Kansas tornado? Because you never find out what happens to her at the end.
Yeah, so that was a great question, and I actually cheated, and I had to go back and watch. I looked up on YouTube and watched that scene, just to like the tornado scene, to see what happens. And so yeah, she's like, you see her riding her bicycle and in the tornado, and then the next thing you know, she kind of morphs into the Wicked Witch and she flies away. And so yeah, and then you never see her again, and then the witch dies in the movie. So so I guess you could definitely conclude that she I'll say yes. Just that's my hot take. Thinking. I'm gonna say yes that Miss Gulch died. Not that the witch deserved to die, maybe, but I don't know about Miss Gulch. But anyway, she was really mean to Toto, wasn't she?
Exactly. Anyone mean to
animals?
Was
super mean. Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, they're automatic villain. If you're mean to an animal, it's like a trope, right? In movies,
absolutely,
automatically the villain. So yeah, I'll say that she died in a tornado. Probably so did that cow, and like the old lady was on the chair, rocking chair.
Well, I say that they used the remains of her house to build Toto a nice big dog house. I think that's only
there you go.
That's justice.
That works.
So,
yeah,
and because everyone returns at the end, because you even see the fortune teller. So that's why I was kind of fascinated they didn't show her. So
yeah.
Well, that's
a good point.
Well, I hope you rewatch it with your son, and then you can report back on what he thought, and be interested.
Yeah, I suspect he will likewise be scared of the witch, but we'll see.
Or the monkeys, or maybe
probably like Son of Ellen, or the monkeys. Yeah, I wasn't so much scared by them. I just think they're just sort of weird.
They were definitely creepy. Yeah. No, it is like probably the first American fairy tale. So, and there's so many things that we still say today that come from that film, that it's kind of a magical film, really is.
Yeah, it's amazing that it's so relevant still, culturally relevant still. Being, what was it, 1939 it came
That's
out?
Right. Yeah. And the book was published in 1900. So yeah, really is a classic. Well, as always, thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.
All right, we're back with Grown Up Rocks, Stephen Michael. Welcome back, Stephen.
Hey, Brian. How are you? Thanks for having me.
No problem. We're going to go down the old brick road on this one. And I've been asking everyone that on the show that's a regular, that, some of the memories about The Wizard of Oz. It's easier for me than doing the, the recap, because everyone's seen this film, and usually multiple times. So let's go through the standard questions. Who is your favorite character in The Wizard of Oz?
Well, before I get started, Brian, I'm going to throw this disclaimer out there. I absolutely do not, and I got to emphasize, do not represent the lollipop gang.
Well, you're too big. You're too tall. So.
Hey, you don't know that. You don't have anything to put size proportion in.
Good point. For
all you know, I could be 3'1".
You might be. That's true. But your voice booms, unlike the lollipop gang, So
yeah, I like imitating that once I take helium from balloon. I'm sorry. What was the question again? My favorite character.
Your favorite character.
I think I've always been partial to the Cowardly Lion. For whatever reason, probably because he looks like James Hetfield a little bit, but. Yeah, I don't know. I've always enjoyed him.
That's a good point. When he added the mullet going in the Fu Manchu, and if people listening to this, if you don't know who James Hetfield is, he's the lead singer and guitar player for Metallica.
Yeah. Thanks. Sorry, I gotta sometimes think about that. Think about your audience there. Yeah.
Well, especially I don't know how many Metallica / Wizard of Oz fans there are, but maybe today, who knows? There could be.
Exactly.
All right. What is your favorite song in the film?
Well, hell, I said it earlier. I represent the lollipop. Always a great song, right?
Yeah.
Were there other songs in it?
Oh, of course. The gold standard is Over the Rainbow.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's one of those songs that's been done to death. I don't know that I ever need to hear it again by anybody, but I've heard some great versions over the years. So, yeah, it's amazing.
Okay, favorite scene?
I think one of my favorite scenes, well, there's twofold. I really enjoy the scene where the house comes down on the witch and her little feet curl up.
Yeah,
right?
Yep.
I enjoy that, but I also always enjoy the flying monkeys, man.
Oh, I think they're great. They're horrifying.
They're horrifying as a kid, and just now I didn't know the phrase at all then, but now flying monkeys flying out of my butt. That's kind of funny because now I kind of put two and two together. So yeah, it's amazing, but they were horrifying as a kid.
I still know how to party, but what I'd really love is to do Wayne's World for a living. It might happen. Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Yeah, and it's even more horrifying if they're flying out of your butt. So yeah, I agree.
And I also, it's not a song, but I also like the dun 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 dun.
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned Metallica on Injustice for All. The that comes from Wizard of Oz, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And this is related, but off kilter a little bit. Have you ever done the whole Pink Floyd thing, Wizard of Oz thing? Have you done that?
We're on the same page because that was one of my questions. So yes, I have, and it's there. You can see how there's certain things that match up. Like if I only had a brain is I think brain is a brain surgery or whatever the song is on Dark Side of the Moon. But there are some things like time matches up with are they on time to get to the things? So yeah, and David Gilmour basically or Roger Waters said it's complete. That's not true at all. They weren't thinking of Wizard of Oz, but someone did a lot of drugs in the early 70s and thought that, oh my God, this is a connection to Wizard of Oz. Have you done this?
I have not done it. I think I would rather try it with Injustice for All because I think it's more entertaining that way. But no, I haven't tried. I'm not the hugest Pink Floyd fan, to be honest.
Okay. I've become a bigger fan as I've gotten older, but only their 70s stuff. So
yeah, I like a group of songs by them, and it's generally the heavier stuff, like
sure.
Have a Cigar and the Brick in the Wall and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever read the original novel or the book or the subsequent books?
We've covered this multiple times in your show, Brian. I don't read, and B, that's why movies are made, so that I don't have to read.
So you read biographies, you read nonfiction.
I do, yeah. I like reading rock biographies and stuff like that, or history biographies. I'm not much of a fictional reader. I think that it's just a attention span. It takes me forever to read a book. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it just is what it is. My mind wanders and I start thinking about maybe something I just read and I lose my place and then mm-hmm. have to find it again. And so, I'm disjointed. What can I tell you?
No, I understand. I don't read a lot of nonfiction either, but I will give a plug to my father who has written 5 fiction books. I do read his books, so I like his.
That's right. I forgot your dad was a writer. Yeah, that's amazing.
I think he's very disappointed. No, he loves that I'm creative in my own way. But I'm a nonfiction guy too. That's what has always interested me. And honestly, doing damn good movie memories, you can see why I like doing nonfiction. So and doing history. So yeah.
And your dad's an actual real writer too. He's not like I published this on Amazon type writer, right?
No, it's not self-published. He has a real publisher that he goes through, and he has 5 novels out there. So go to Amazon.com and type in Robert Davis, and you can check out his novels. And his latest one is called Stuffed. As I am recording this, so
I love that we're plugging your dad's work, man. That killer idea. Love it.
Well, thank you for setting me up perfectly, Stephen.
You're welcome.
Have you seen any of the remakes? And if you can't remember any, I think the most notable one would be The Wiz, which is a musical remake, of course, with Diana Ross and Michael Jackson and Richard Pryor.
Cicely Tyson.
Yeah, and Cicely Tyson.
I haven't seen any of them recently, and yes, I have seen The Wiz. They did some weird offshoots of The Wizard of Oz that were more not necessarily remakes of The Wizard of Oz, but kind of like they've done it a million times, especially more recently with Peter Pan, where they're kind of rethinking and remaking and using bits and pieces, but it's not necessarily a remake, right?
Right. It's like Finding Neverland or things like that. There was a Disney one that my sister used to like. I came out in the mid '80s called Return to Oz that has Fairuza Balk in it as a little girl.
There was also a TV show not that long ago, and by not that long ago, I'm saying within the last 10 years, where they did something with an actual TV series, didn't they?
Was that maybe Once Upon a Time?
No. I'm talking more. I'm talking Wizard of Oz. Didn't they call it like just Oz? Like it was called Oz?
Well, I know Oz is a prison.
No, not that. Not that Oz.
They went crazy on this one. But
no. Look it up because there was it was either a short mini series or it was an actual TV series, and I want to even say it was like on NBC or something. And it was, I swear it was called Oz, but maybe it was
the Tin Man.
That doesn't sound right, but
there is a miniseries that came out in 2007. It's specifically about the Tin Man. They go back to Oz just to get him.
Maybe that was it. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But and to be honest, I can't tell you the premise because
is it Emerald City?
That's it. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that came out in 2017. Yeah, that's a good callback. Yeah, Vincent D'Onofrio plays the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Nice. Well, and then there's obviously a very popular Broadway play called Wicked, where it's just based on the Wicked Witch.
I actually saw that. I mean, that was one of my first Broadway things, and I saw it on Broadway. My wife has a lot of family in New York, and she has a couple of heavy hitters there in her family, and they actually got us, like, I want to say, second or third row center seats for Wicked. So I was fortunate enough to experience that whole thing.
And you enjoyed it?
It was cool. Yeah, I did enjoy it. Sure.
Nice. And the last question I'll wrap up with, this is, I always like asking this question because I until recently I never thought about either about the outcome. Do you think that Miss Gulch, and that's the Wicked Witch in Oz, do you think she got killed by the tornado? Because when you come back to Kansas, she's the only one that doesn't reappear.
That to be honest, I never really thought about it. So yeah, why not? She's out there riding a bike around.
Yeah.
It stands to reason that the tractor hit her in the head.
Yep.
She was swooped up. So yeah, that makes total sense. The other thing that I don't know that you ever thought about, but the Wizard of Oz was actually the premise of the Who Shot JR episode of Dallas.
Is that legit? For real?
No, but it makes sense, right? I mean, it was all a dream.
That's true. That's yeah. You think, I'm glad you brought this up. You think about so many tropes in this film that are still with American culture today. You know, whether it be Follow the Yellow Brick Road or just listen to, You Can Always Go Home, and there's so many things in this film that people still say today.
Yeah, I mean, I still am able to fit my feet in those ruby slippers every once in a while. They're a little bit painful, and I got arch issues, but hey, gotta do what you gotta do.
On that note, we're going to leave Mr. Lollipop Guild, and I always love talking to you, Stephen. Thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome, Brian. Thanks for visiting this with me.
Well, it's been far too long, and I know someone that loves this movie. And the reason I'm doing this with so many different people is because everyone knows this movie, and it's The Wizard of Oz, and we're bringing back super producer Lindley for this. Welcome back, Lindley.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me.
So I've been doing like a standard 7 to 8 to 9 questions, just so everyone's on the same page. And I've been getting some interesting answers to all this.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone's been different, which has been pretty cool. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, and so the one that's been, not everyone gave the same answer, but a lot of people have one person they really like. Who is your favorite character?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think the Tin Man has to be, right? I think as a kid, he was just the kinder, more, the Tin Man.
That's awesome.
Even though he doesn't have a heart, I just thought he was like the more caretaker of Dorothy. I know she was closer with the Scarecrow by the end of the movie.
Most people have picked the Scarecrow.
Yeah. I was the Scarecrow for Halloween, several Halloweens.
Really?
Or at least 2. I didn't want to be. It was like a recycled Halloween costume situation, I think.
A hand-me-down?
Yeah. I mean, we had adult Scarecrow costumes and children's Scarecrow. I think my mom made them for my brothers. And then by the time I rolled around, it was still, she was trying to shove me into
No Dorothy for Lindley.
Yeah. No, I was either a witch or the Scarecrow. I don't think that was an option.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Or I didn't know. I wouldn't have thought of it.
And so I have to assume you saw it originally, the first time was on television?
Oh, yeah, of course. Every Thanksgiving, you watch The Wizard of Oz. I still do to this day, even though I've purchased it on my streaming service.
Oh, yeah.
So I just hit play. But, and then before that, I had a DVD that we would play every year. But I assume it still plays on some network TV.
I would think so, but it was they were saying after doing research, it was like the Super Bowl of its era. Like people stopped what they were doing to watch The Wizard of Oz. That's how cool it was.
No, I mean, I still think it's, great. Would never walk away from it. Love it. Also try to make it once a year. So it's not like we're watching it all the time. Do you know what I mean?
But you do pick up new things, which I think is fun. And one of my last questions is actually one of them after seeing it countless times. But the next question I'm going to ask you is, what is your favorite song?
Could it be, so I'm not big on the songs. I think they're all nice and wonderful, but I can get bored in those places where it's like singer, like Dorothy singing, whatever it is. So I think can I just name my favorite musical piece?
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, I think it's like every time The Witch or what is her name? Oh my gosh, I've completely forgotten. Margaret Hamilton. Every time Margaret Hamilton's on the screen,
Miss Gulch.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what the neighbor is named, like her riding her bike with the dog in the back.
Yeah, Miss Gulch.
Miss Gulch. Okay.
Yep.
Wow. That was not at all what I was thinking of, but
Margaret Hamilton though is the actress that of course
I know Margaret Hamilton's the actress. Yeah, I was like, she's the witch, but what's her name when she's in real life? Yeah.
So you like the score?
I love the score, and I just love that music is just genius, perfect.
Oh, it is,
and you couldn't improve upon it.
A lot of fans of heavy metal love the like her guards, like the
I love that too. Yeah, that's so good too. All of it, yeah.
So much so that Metallica actually used it in one of their songs on one of their 80s albums. So
they did. Did they get the copyright, or maybe
they must have, or
maybe you don't need it after time, right? If it's
I don't know if it was in public domain by that point, because they recorded in 88 and this came out in 39. So maybe, I don't know, but
I don't think it's in public domain yet. Public domain is 100 years, right? Is it?
I think it's different between it's different. I think between written and music, but I don't know.
I apologize.
No, not at all. I love doing these little side things. What is this might be an easier one. What's your least favorite song?
Well, I don't know if it's my least favorite, but I think it's more at the beginning of the movie. Are there other long songs? Just the long musical numbers have never been my favorite.
So you don't like Somewhere Over the Rainbow?
I mean, I like it, but it's not a part of a movie. It's not part of the movie that I look forward to. Like that might be a place where I go and, put dishes in the dishwasher maybe, or something. Like I can walk away from that.
That's fascinating because you sound exactly like the executives who didn't want that song in the movie because they wanted to get as quickly to Oz as possible, and they thought it bogged down the story.
I agree completely.
But your counterpart and your best friend at work, Stephanie, would disagree, saying it's a vital part
absolutely
of because it shows what Dorothy's about and how she's dreaming about things outside of Kansas. So
I mean, I feel like we know that by the dialogue. But this is I have this issue with not just songs is one area, but also sex scenes, violent scenes, big fight scenes. Like I feel like it doesn't progress the story. Like just tell me, just like you can make it shorter, like long fight scenes where they're like punch, and then other people like shootouts, chases. My other issue was car chases. It's like, let's just get to the part of what happens at the end. Yeah, I'm just like, these things do not progress the story for me. That's all.
So no 50 Shades of Grey and no Schwarzenegger movies.
I've never seen 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, Schwarzenegger, yeah. I just like, again, that's just a place of the movie where I can walk away, get some popcorn, you know, pour myself a drink. I don't need to watch gunfire or a car chase. Yeah.
And this is exactly what I have you on as much as I can. So.
That's so ridiculous. I'm sure it's the least popular opinion. Who agrees with this? Nobody.
Well, not true.
That's the part of the movie.
We will. That's why I like getting different opinions. So this is why you're always memorable on the show. The next one. What is your favorite scene?
Again, I think I love the scenes with the witch. It was always really scary. I love the flying monkeys. Is that a scene? I don't know if these are scenes.
Definitely.
Yeah, I just love I don't even love the scenes in Oz as much. I mean, that's really fun when everything's very colorful and the horses change colors and all that. I mean, I really fondly remember those scenes, but I think I like the stuff with the witch and the flying monkeys. So whenever that happens or whenever she's, trying to infiltrate.
Special effects wise, I think the monkey scenes really hold up well.
I love the flying monkeys. Yeah, they're great. They're so good.
Now, I know you're an avid reader. Did you ever read the original books?
Yeah. Not until I had children. I read them to my children. And it's great. Oh my God, the books are great. Like, I would say a little different, but like I don't know if I would say as good as the movie, but just as enjoyable. Like, it was just such a great, like, I actually enjoyed reading them. I didn't enjoy reading all stories to my children, what I mean? But it really holds up. I would really recommend it. So I think I started buying classics. Like, they have fancy classic adaptions in the bookstore, right?
Yeah.
This one section. So like I bought Peter Pan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What's the Wind in the Willows? And this was one of them. And wow, just really, really great stories. So I still have them on the shelf.
So you read not just because there's like 20 books, I think, or like.
I didn't read all 20. It's like whatever was in this. It was either, I don't know if it was 1 to 4, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, maybe. I don't think it was all. It was definitely not all 20.
They were really like the Harry Potter of their era. I mean, people.
Yes, and they're really great, deservedly so. It's a great story. It's really, really good. Yeah,
and his story is like the author story is amazing because he was just he failed at pretty much everything he did, but this is the one thing he got right, and he always wanted to do this, and it's really a success story about how he.
About Frank Oz.
Yeah.
I did read up on him when I was reading those books because I was just kind of blown away with how great they were. Yeah,
absolutely. Did you like any of the remakes, movie wise, that came out? So
The Wiz. I saw The Wiz.
Yep.
I don't know that I've seen others. I guess I did see they do have some cartoon versions that are more aligned with the book. It looked like, but again, I don't know that I've seen them in any recent memory. So I feel like, but when I read the book, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of similar to like the characters you saw, like that I vaguely remember seeing in those cartoon versions. Yeah. But the Wiz I like.
Yeah. That's a fun one.
I mean, I loved Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And Diana Ross and Richard Pryor. Well, yeah, definitely Free. Yes. Was there a scene or character you would have changed?
Was there a scene or character? I don't think I would change any of the characters. I guess just the long musical interludes.
Okay, that's fair. That is fair.
Wow, I sound like a horrible human being.
No, not at all. You have an opinion. I respect it. So, did you ever play Dark Side of the Moon, the Pink Floyd classic album, to the film? Like, if you sync it up?
No, is that a thing you're supposed to do?
It is.
I didn't know this.
I think there were a lot of drugs being used back in the 70s. And but supposedly, like, because there's certain songs like Brain Surgery, and of course, then it would go to the Scarecrow, and then there was Time, and so they would, there were little things that would think up. Pink Floyd says it's complete rubbish, and that's not.
It wasn't to score that. I mean, no. I remember listening to Dark Side of the Moon and watching things on TV. It was like something we did, I don't know, freshman or sophomore year in high school. But that was my fleeting time with it. I don't remember. I think everybody listens to Pink Floyd, right, when they're in high school. I imagine at some point, yeah. And you think you're like the most amazing person for discovering this, right?
Well, I definitely. Some people got into the Grateful Dead. I could never do it.
No, never. Me either. Yeah. Nope. I don't think I really ever gotten into Pink Floyd either, but I do remember that being an activity that we would do.
I appreciate them a lot more now than when I was a kid. I was much more into Zeppelin and bands like that. So
yeah. I gotcha.
it was never explained what happened to Dorothy's parents, or maybe it was in the book. But what do you think happened to Dorothy's parents? Because of course she lives with her aunt and uncle.
I mean, I just think it's that era of you would be orphaned at times, right? High mortality rates among everybody. So,
especially on a farm.
I don't recall if they call it out in the book even. Like, I don't even believe that aunt and uncle are characters in the book. Maybe they are. I don't remember. I will have to reread it, and I will happily reread it because I thought it was a great story. But yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, that stuff like that. That's one question I picked up watching it for the umpteenth time. I was like, oh, I never realized it. And then no. And then the last question. This is the one that really kind of fascinated me. What do you think happened to Miss Gulch / the Wicked Witch? Do you think she got killed in the tornado? Because she is the one character that does not appear at the very end.
Oh, right. Like what happened to the whole town after that tornado?
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I haven't thought about it, so I don't know. I mean, again, it's all a dream. So do I wish she were dead? No, I think she's a great character, and I would want to see her in Wizard of Oz too. Okay. You need an ongoing villain presence, right?
You do, story-wise, you do. But as a animal lover and someone who, how could you take away one of the best movie dogs, Toto?
No, that dog was the best dog. Yeah, that is a great dog. And I don't know what she was going to do with it. Have it killed? Was that her plan?
I think she was.
Is that what she said?
That was what she was going to destroy it. So that would have my dream would be Miss Gulch is killed in the tornado.
Yeah.
And then the remains of her house they used to build a nice big doghouse for Toto. So that's what I would have done.
I don't actually know where she lived in relation to them, like how far away. I don't know.
That's
true. Next door neighbor or farm neighbor is a little bit different, right?
Exactly. Like there's a lot of property, so she was definitely riding her bike. But that's all the questions I have. Thank you so much for doing this, and I love your answers.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I hope that I did it justice. I feel, that is just such a great movie.
Absolutely. It is. It might be the greatest, American. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, easily. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Is it on it's not the top. Citizen Kane is number one. I don't even know what's number two on the AFI.
Well, I think Citizen Kane is fine, but I think just for cultural impact. I mean, we're still talking. Like there are certain catchphrases that we still do. So
everything is quotable, right?
Yeah, and that's it expands generations. So I think that it has to be right up there. So
yeah, what do we don't quote from Citizen Kane, do we?
Never. I mean, maybe Rosebud, but nobody.
Rosebud is all I can think of, but I feel like I got that from a Simpsons cartoon.
Exactly. Or Casablanca. You might talk. What a beautiful friendship, or Play It Again.
Oh, Casablanca is greatly quoted. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but not like the Yellow Brick Road.
No. Not to the extent that Wizard of Oz is.
No. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back with Michael, who is a coworker and a huge fan of Damn Good Movie Memories. He's one of the few people that will ping me almost every week saying he enjoyed or saw the movie that we were talking about for the week. So welcome back, Michael. I know you were on the 100th episode. We were talking about Back to the Future. So it's good to get you back on for another classic film.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah.
No problem. And so, as I've been doing with everyone, I'm just going to ask the standard questions that we've been doing for the Wizard of Oz, and I'm curious to hear about your answers. So we're going to start with what is your favorite character?
Well, I'm a fan of Ray Bolger. Well, actually, I should say I'm coming into this. Of course, I've seen it as a kid, loved it, and I'm also a fan of the old school MGM musicals.
Right.
I've seen a lot of those. So I'm a big fan of Ray Bolger. He's an amazing dancer and always likable in all his movies. And just the same in Wizard of Oz. He's just so awesome as Scarecrow.
That's funny because most people have picked the Scarecrow as their favorite. So
not a surprise, I guess.
Well, he's such a vital character because he's the first that she meets. And so if he falls flat, then everyone else will kind of pale in comparison. So it was important. He have a connection. Yeah, totally.
And he's totally likable in his other movies too. I've seen him in too. Actually, I've seen him in others, but he's always really likable. Plays a likable character. He's such an amazing dancer too.
And that maybe you don't know, but Buddy Epson was supposed to be the original Scarecrow. But
I had heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wait,
he's an amazing dancer too. Yeah.
I'm wrong. He was supposed to be the original Tin Man.
I think he was both. From what I read.
Oh, you're right. You were. Yeah. And then
Scarecrow first, and then Ray Bolger wanted it, and then so he became Tin Man, and then he got sick from
he got the poisoning. Yeah,
poor guy.
Yeah, oh yeah, but it's okay. He made his millions from Beverly Hills.
Oh yeah, yes. He would have been great in Wizard of Oz too. I would love to see him in it. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so what is your favorite song?
Well, I couldn't come up with one, but the whole Munchkin Land sequence kind of seems like one that it's just like made up of so many little songs put together.
Yeah,
I kind of think the whole thing works so brilliantly together. So I think I can't pick one mini song from that whole sequence. So I'll pick that whole sequence. In fact, I think I would jump ahead and say that's my favorite scene of the whole movie too.
Okay, yeah, when she gets to Oz, and the whole medley. It is kind of hard because they are kind of specific songs, but they all kind of work in conjunction.
Yeah.
And do you have a least favorite song?
I had to say that If I Were King of the Jungle, and for me it's too long. It kind of stops the action and just so that one's for me the worst. Is that what everyone else says too?
No, they were kind of all over the place for that one. I think some of Lindley was funny. Lindley even said that her least favorite is Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
What?
Yeah, exactly. So this is why I love interviewing. Everyone's got their own. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. So no, everyone's over the place. But I kind of agree with you there. I think of all the character songs, that one's my least favorite.
I actually fast forward through it every time I watch it.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
And my kids, I showed it to my kids, and even they were like, "Is this? Can we skip this, please?"
Yeah, that's funny because he's such a great character. But his song
it's
falls
awesome.
flat.
He's great.
Yeah,
you probably need another song for him, but it's just too long.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever read the original book or the subsequent sequels to the books?
I think I must have read recent, but I don't remember much of it.
Okay.
So probably not. And I should. Okay. I have 3 girls. I should.
Lindley said that she went back and reread them. She loves them. So they were kind of the Harry Potter of their day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have read Wicked.
Oh, right. Did you see the stage production?
Yes, many times.
And how'd you like that?
Love it also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen it several times. My kids love it. It's one of their favorites.
And then that kind of leads me to this.
Yes.
It's not technically a remake, but did you like any of the offshoots or the remakes that came after?
Yes, I pretty much like them all. Well, let me see. There's Return to Oz. I know I saw that when I was a kid, and I don't remember much of it except that it was quite a bit creepier than the first one.
For Balk, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. But I don't think I liked it a lot, but I kind of liked it, but it was... I have seen Oz the Great and Powerful and really enjoyed that one. My kids really enjoy that one too.
Okay.
And though I know it's flawed and people complain about some parts, it's kind of the overblown CGI.
Sure.
Thing, but and I agree with that. But it's a lot of fun also.
And then did you see The Wiz?
Wiz, yes. Okay. The Wiz. I think there's only parts of the original one, and I've seen and enjoyed the recent live TV version too. Yeah, that one.
So you really do like it all. You're like Stephanie. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and also I don't. It doesn't really count, but the Renee Zellweger and Judy Garland movie recently.
Oh, right, that's true.
Yeah, really
she was great in that.
Yeah.
Was there a scene or character you would have changed? And actually, this might lead to the lion scene again.
Yes, I was going to say. Probably. I don't know if I would take it out, but at least make it shorter.
Shorter. Okay, that's fair. Okay, so I don't know if you're a fan of Pink Floyd or heard, Dark Side of the Moon.
I'm not.
You never put it into the film.
I don't know. I have not. Was there a story behind it? Does that make it? Does it match up perfectly?
There's a theory that if you play Dark Side of the Moon right when the film begins, that some of the songs match the things in the film. I mean, they've said awesome. Pink Floyd has said that's the complete rubbish and it's not true. But there is some stuff that time has to do with stuff that's going on, and I guess there's one called brain surgery. So of course that goes with the scarecrow, not having a brain.
Wow.
So there's a lot of things that they kind of fall, but I think it's everyone did a lot of drugs in the 70s. So might have been that.
So great.
Yeah, it's really funny. So it was never explained about Dorothy's parents. What do you think happened?
I just assumed that they passed away like any other Disney princess movie that we just take for granted that the parents are out of the picture for I guess to make it to more impact on the character. I suppose.
Yeah,
but no, I never really thought about it.
Never thought about it. Okay. And then the one that, again, this never dawned on me until my recent rewatching is one of the characters you do not see at the very end when she goes back to home, when she wakes up from the, the quote unquote dream, is that what happened to Miss Gulch, the Wicked Witch? Do you think she actually got killed in the tornado? What do you think happened?
Same thing as you. I had never thought about that until you asked me just now. You just kind of forget about her.
Yeah.
So yeah, what happened? So I guess if the the Oz part is a reflection of her real life,
right?
I guess her being melted would have some kind of illusion that she either drown or something revolving water, maybe sickness or something possibly.
Yeah.
That she got sick. It doesn't look good for her.
Exactly.
Something bad happened to her.
And it's a lesson. It's a lesson that don't be mean to animals because something's going to, whatever the earth's going to come back and get you for that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Totally. No, that's a great question though.
Yeah, I've always wondered. Everyone's got different answers, so yeah, it's turned into a fun way to wrap this up. And again, thank you for doing this, and always thank you for supporting the podcast. And it's always great talking to you at work.
Always, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you for keep doing your podcast.
No problem. And one thing I'm going to quickly bring up, and I'm going to have you on for Mr. Deeds, the Adam Sandler remake of the classic, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, because your father was actually in there as a kind of a side character. So
sure, I'll try to get my dad on. He has great stories from that.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yes, because your dad was a character actor, or I don't know, not character, but a
background extra.
Background extra on a lot of films.
That movie was the only movie he actually has a line in, and he still gets residual checks to this day.
Which is awesome. I love that. I love that story.
Like pennies.
but still, it's funny. Yeah.
Yes.
And he's been in other movies too, so that's really fun.
Yes, so he has great stories.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Michael.
Well, thank you, Ryan.
Okay, we're back with Joseph Staub. Welcome back, Joseph.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Well, I found out you're a huge Wizard of Oz fan, and I've been trying to interview as many people as possible for this. And I gave you the list of questions, and you have all of your notes ready, so I can't wait to hear about this. And we'll start with the first question that I've been asking everyone. It's who's your favorite character?
All these questions, it was kind of hard. But for this one, I went with the Wicked Witch of the West. Probably the most iconic character from the movie. Margaret Hamilton's performance is quoted by almost everybody. If you think of a witch character in a movie, you automatically think of green skin, Margaret Hamilton. I think her impact on the film, on film in general, and on pop culture, it can't be overstated.
Absolutely, and I think I'm totally with you. That is my favorite character of the main characters. If not, I would pick Toto, of course, because everyone loves Toto. But yeah, I mean, you need a heavy and you need a villain, and the ultimate villain is the Wicked Witch by Margaret Hamilton. Okay, what is your favorite song? And then the part B of that question is, what's your least favorite song?
My favorite song, I had to think about, because if I had to pick a favorite sort of song, it would be the entire sort of Munchkin Land medley. But if I had to pick one out of that, it would be Off to See the Wizard. So like Follow the Yellow Brick Road into Off to See the Wizard. That's probably my favorite from the movie. And it was really hard to pick a least favorite because I don't hate any of the songs in this movie. But if I had to pick a least favorite, it would probably be Merry Old Land of Oz.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Favorite scene?
Kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, the Munchkin Land scene. Dorothy coming out, going from sepia into full color. Her exploring, kind of getting caught up in everything that's going on. And, of course, the first appearance of the Wicked Witch of the West. All the great songs. Just so many different cool little characters and side things and all the different stuff going on.
Sure. And for many people, I mean, just that jarring, going from black and white to color is so cool. And what's funny is, like, a lot of people, when they were first watching on TV, they were still watching it all in black and white.
Yeah.
And so they have a color TV yet. So that was kind of fun. Did you ever read the original book or any of the sequels?
I read an adaptation of the book. I don't think it was like text for text like the original book. Like it was like a children's adaptation of it.
Okay.
And I've never read any of the sequels or everything, but I find it really interesting how the book is not like the movie almost at all, other than like the character names. Like a lot of the events in the book don't happen in the movie, and vice versa. There's a lot of like different characters and sort of monsters in the book that you never see in the movie, and it's how after Dorothy kills the Wicked Witch, there's this whole like 10 chapters about returning to Emerald City and all this stuff.
Right.
It just skips in the movie.
Now, it would have been interesting if they, because that kind of alludes to my next question. Have you seen any of the remakes and or sequels? If they had got into like really the true parts of the book. I don't know if they have, because I really haven't seen that many. Have you seen any of the sequels or remakes?
I have seen several, mostly parodies, but
okay.
I've seen Return to Oz just because I heard for years about how dark and messed up it was.
Yeah, it is.
And it's
especially for a Disney movie.
And it's a Disney movie, but like that was that like dark period of Disney where it's like Black Cauldron, Return to Oz, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Before the Renaissance and everything, but that was just I watched it once. I'm like, okay, now I've seen it once. I can say I've seen it and never need to see it again. But one of my favorites is The Muppets Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Even for a really stupid TV special from 2005, it still has its funny moments, has some good songs. I mean, it doesn't rank anywhere near the greatest Muppet anything, but I think it's a fun adaptation. And then I do like a lot of the songs in The Wiz. I don't really like the film adaptation very much, but like the songs itself and like some adaptations of the musical that I've seen, I really enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. I just remember Return to Oz just because my sister is like, because we both grew up in the 80s. And so she liked it, or I think she liked it, but she'd watch it all the time. So I don't think she's seen it in years. What scene or character from the original movie would you have changed, if any?
So here's where I'm going to get a little bit nerdy about things.
I love it.
So going back to a very young age, I had the cassette tape of the soundtrack that was released on Rhino Records.
Okay.
Probably in the mid-90s. And there were 2 tracks on it. Well, I'm sorry, 3. That were very different from the movie, and I never understood why. Because I was like 4. I'm like, I don't know how to look into these things.
Sure.
But those 3 things, and the things that I would add back into the movie, because I just want to see them. And just from hearing the soundtrack, and one of them does exist on the DVD, which would be the extended dance sequence at the end of If I Only Had a Brain.
Right.
Which I think is really, really cool. I mean, they would have had to iron out. I think the reason they cut it was some of the special effects did not look good at all.
Yeah.
Like Ray Bolger dancing on the pumpkin and stuff like that didn't really look that great. But if there was a way to get that looking good, I'd love to have that in the film. And then 2 songs that they cut completely from the film. One of which was like the most expensive thing they did for the film was the Jitterbug sequence.
Right.
Which they still kept a reference in the movie, and that always bugged me.
Yeah.
The Wicked Witch has that line about, I've sent a little insect ahead to take the fight out of them. That you never get to see any of that, but they still put it on the soundtrack, and they left that in the film. The little
that's interesting.
Reference.
Huh.
So I would love to see that scene, because I mean, I think there was some production video on one of the DVDs of like someone up in the rafters with a handheld camera filming the dance sequence, and it looked really cool. And I heard they did like a whole animation thing that they completely cut out from the film.
Right.
Which I would have loved to see. And then the third one is the triumphant return to Emerald City.
Right.
Which takes place between the death of the Wicked Witch and when they present the broom to the wizard. There was a whole big scene supposed to be in the film, and then they filmed it, and there's another production sort of image of someone holding a camera, like a handheld camera, filming this as well. A whole big like parade into the Emerald City, and it looked really cool. And there was like a whole big transition from the Wicked Witch's castle, instead of just like the quick transition from the guards giving Dorothy the broom right to the wizard. There was a whole big musical number, and I would have loved to see all 3 of those extended numbers in the film.
Well, I'm glad. See, this is why I had you on, because you gave the most in-depth answer for that question. I love it. So. Okay, I know you're a big classic rock guy. You're a big, hard rock guy. Did you ever play Dark Side of the Moon to the film?
Yes. Never got anything out of it.
Right.
Never at all. And I mean, like, I know this is a whole other tangent, but like, if you were to rank, in my opinion, all the Pink Floyd albums, Dark Side of the Moon's not towards the top for me.
Okay.
So like, I was never a huge fan of the album to begin with. I like a lot of the songs, but like some of them were just couldn't care less about. But I never understood the whole thing of trying to sync it up or anything. And I think it's funny, in the Muppets version that I referenced earlier, they even referenced that in the film. 2 things that I enjoy, but I prefer to enjoy them separately.
Yeah. definitely. And, lots of drugs in the 70s can lead to things like this. So.
Yeah, for whoever decided to think about that, they must have had a lot of free time and a lot of drugs.
Absolutely. It was never explained what really happened to Dorothy's parents. I mean, she just lives with her aunt and uncle. And somebody had said that interview, well, this happened with like orphans back in the day. I mean, that's how Shirley Temple made her career. She was always an orphan. So what do you think happened to Dorothy's parents if you're going to kind of, come up with a story?
So I think I remember reading something about like it was supposed to be like as a result of like the Dust Bowl or something.
Ah, okay.
That her parents were like sharecroppers or something. And that they died as a result of the extremely poor conditions in the Midwest during the Dust Bowl period. That's why I always took away from this. That is why Dorothy is so upset about the thought of Aunt Em being sick when she talks to Professor Marvel.
Oh, okay.
Or when she's having that sort of moment in the Witch's Castle, which is another thing that I completely forgot to mention, but something else that I think they should have kept in the film.
Sure.
Is the depressing as hell rendition of Over the Rainbow that she sings in the Witch's Castle that they should have kept in the film, but they thought it would make kids cry.
Sure.
I thought that would have made a great addition to the film, and it would have added a lot of emotion to a song that I never really cared for that much. But I think if you would have put that in the film, it would have given an entirely new meaning to the song. And I think that would have really sort of amplified that whole scene and that song for me. But I think that's why Dorothy is so worried about Aunt Em and everything in those instances, is because I don't know if it's implied that she was old enough to know what happened to her parents.
Right.
Or if she was, because she's supposed to be a lot younger than she looks. Judy Garland was what, I think like 14 or 15 at the time.
I think she was older than that. She might have even been 16 or 17, but I know the character in the book's much younger.
Supposed to be like 8 or 9, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
So I don't know if it's implied that that she knew what happened or witnessed what happened to her parents. But I always took that to be why she was so upset at the thought of Aunt Em being sick, to the point where she would, in that instance, completely change her mind about running away.
Yeah, I know, that's a great take. I'm glad you brought that up. And then speaking of Somewhere Over the Rainbow, I'm sure you've heard the producers of the studio didn't even want that in the film because they thought it took away from going, moving the plot forward to finally get to Emerald City, or getting to the Color Land, and that's what they wanted to do, and they thought it slowed down the picture. They're obviously wrong because it's one of the best loved songs in movie history. But
I will argue though, I think the producers were right in a way, even though it is like now one of the best loved songs in movie history.
Sure, yeah,
it kind of does slow down the first 10 minutes of the movie.
It does. But I think people are willing to go along with it just because.
I agree. I never find it that it drags too much.
Yeah.
But I can kind of see where they were coming from, because the film kind of grinds to a dead halt right there.
Sure, and I'm sure Judy Garland appreciates it because that was by far her.
That was her
hit.
bread and butter.
Absolutely. And to round this out, I love asking this question. You get all sorts of different answers. Do you think that Miss Gulch / the Wicked Witch got killed in the tornado? Because you never see her on the way back.
I never really thought about it. I think like the whole seeing her in the cyclone transforming into the Wicked Witch.
Right.
That's always been all part of the dream to me, because everything after she gets hit on the head is a dream.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about it. I mean, like, to me, I'm like, why would you see her at the end? Like, everything's supposed to be happy at the end. Why would you see her? I never really thought about it. I mean, I don't think that it was ever really even a thought in the filmmaker's mind either. I think it's just I think it was kind of, that wasn't what they were wanting to portray.
Sure.
I guess they introduced her at the beginning as a means to get the plot moving, to have Dorothy run away, to come back. That's the reason she wasn't in the storm shelter. That's why she was in the house, got hit in the head in the first place. And then you see her again as a manifestation of Dorothy's fear as the Wicked Witch.
Right.
With the way the film ends, who knows? She could have showed up the next day and said, "I still want your dog."
That's right. Well, that's the thing. You see everyone, including the fortune teller, of course, was the Wizard of Oz. What do you think? Like in your own creative mind, what do you think happened to Miss Gulch?
Oh, I think she's coming back the next day and wants to kill the dog anyway.
There you go. You're the first to say that, so I like it.
Like
Need a sequel.
The ending of the film is way too happy for me. I'm a pessimist. She definitely came back the next day with the whoever she was taking the dog to. The dog's dead. Toto's dead. Sorry. Like there are no happy endings.
I went to the dark happy ending, which is, of course, Miss Gulch got killed, and then they used the remains of her house to build Toto a giant doghouse. So I think that would have been good too.
Yeah, but I always thought everything makes sense at the end because the farm hands are there because they work there.
Sure.
And Professor Marble's there because he was concerned about Dorothy after she left.
Right.
And he kind of. It's never quite described how he found her house or anything, but
just follow the road.
It couldn't have been a very big area, so
no.
Her farm was like the only thing that they show at the beginning of the film. So it was probably the first farm he came across.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I just have to assume that Miss Gulch just comes back the next day and kills Toto anyway. So
yeah. Well, that's the thing about movies. If you dig in the weeds, you're gonna start overthinking. But this was great, Joseph. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for your answers.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me, Brian. This was fun.
Thank you again to all my great guests. That was a lot of fun. It totally harkened back to what I originally did on Damn Good Movie Memories, was to interview a lot of guests for each episode. So that was fun to revisit that, and it was the perfect movie to do that for. Some points of clarification and corrections. I kept saying brain surgery for the Pink Floyd song. It's supposed to be brain damage. I don't know why. Maybe I had brain damage at the time each time I interviewed people. But that's what's supposed to sync up when the Scarecrow comes on, because obviously brain damage. He didn't have a brain. That's where it syncs up. Anyway. The other one is Bill mentioned that one of his favorite Metallica songs on And Justice for All is Dyer's Eve. What he really meant for the OEO song was Frayed Ends of Sanity, and it's easy to kind of get that confused because they do bookend each other, I believe, at the end of the And Justice for All album. So I'm sure Bill would want me to correct him and get it right, because when you're doing these interviews, it's easy to forget, and you think one thing, you do another, and you can't. We're kind of doing it live, but we're not. You can go back and edit, or you can go back and do an epilogue, to call out our potential errors. Anyway, I'll be back next week. We'll talk about yet another random movie from my DVD collection. If you are ever in the San Francisco Bay Area and still love collecting or renting DVDs or VHS tapes, come check out Captain Video in San Mateo at 2837 South El Camino Real. Captain Video is open 6 days a week and closed on Wednesday, and one of the last traditional video stores still running in the United States. New movies you can rent for $2.99 a day. Old movies you can rent for $2.99 for 5 days. And if renting isn't your thing, you can also purchase anything you find in the store. Be sure to tell Ira that you heard about Captain Video from the Damn Good Movie Memories podcast. Happy renting and happy collecting at Captain Video.
Come hang out and chill with Brian A. Davis and the Bad Beat. Wednesdays, 11 p.m. Eastern, right here on thatmetalstation.com.